seen an undefeated Palpatine, not only just undefeated Palpatine, but an undefeated Palpatine defeat a Sabine player before we've even seen Iden or Krennic is impressive. And oh my goodness, Mr. Yadam Conde. This is the player I was talking about, one of proplaygames' own, one of the nicest dudes I've ever met, commentated events with him. He does really good content over for One Piece. And of course, he is very dripped out, sporting the beautiful X-Wing pilot helmet. And we just love to see it. Very, very high-class gentleman.
That is amazing. You almost have to pull for the guy.
Oh, 100%.
Just because of 100%. The helmet.
That's what's carrying him to undefeated. It's just the helmet.
Absolutely.
Not the deck, not the player.
Absolutely. Sabine on Sabine. Now, we saw a Sabine match earlier, Sabine mirror earlier, but it was Sabine yellow versus Sabine green. And now we get the two greens matching up against one another.
Beans. Two green beans in a pod. I'm definitely very interested. Yeah, someone in chat does have a good point. This might be one of our fastest matches today.
Right. Absolutely. We saw a quick one in round 2. We could be in store for another very quick match here.
This is definitely going to be an interesting matchup because I think if both players hit their stride, we're going to see a lot of just similar plays. We do see some ambush cards already from Yadam. I think what's going to be important here is not throwing down your cards too early, because your opponent can do basically the exact same play, but now it hits you back with ambush. It's going to be definitely very, very interesting. And I think obviously a huge part of this is going to be how well you can draw. Because in an almost identical mirror match like this, if you draw better than your opponent, that's going to mean so much.
Oh, absolutely. So we see Richard playing the Sabine and then Battlefield Marine for Yadam.
Got to respect these boys as well. They do have quite a icy deck list. We see Yadam with the Showcase and the foiled Battlefield Marine. And then we see Richard with the Organized Play Hyperspace foiled Sabine Wrenn.
Absolutely. So lots of shiny toys.
Yes, sir.
Here at this table.
I want to have it any other way. Ooh, Wing Leader on Sabine instantly. Feels really good.
Solid play. It'll take Sabine up to a 4-5. And look at this.
This is what I'm talking about. We're going to see a lot of this in this matchup. Yadam going
the Battlefield Marine is just a bit bigger.
Yeah. He's going to be a threat.
Richard could propose a trade here.
Mm-hmm.
With Sabine's on attack ability, would be able to deal that extra damage to deal a total of 5 to Marine. So we'll see how Richard goes about this. I almost think you have to trade there, right?
Trade, yeah, 100%. Because even though you want to gain advantage on your opponent, you also can't let them get too much advantage on you.
Exactly, because the Marine could have come right back and just taken out Sabine and stay on board.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be a very interesting match because I'm assuming we're just going to see everybody take 2 damage every single turn. So not only is this going to be insanely quick because they're both like hyper aggro, but they're just both going to be taking 2 damage every single turn. Oh, trading again.
Yep, right away another trade. And red 3.
Good play by Richard. All right, Yadam, show us the red 3.
Yadam looks like, nope, it's going to go for the ping first.
Mm-hmm. Still has 4 resources up, so you have to assume that he's trying to save his ECL to see if something else comes out. Ooh, doing Sabine right away. Nice.
Yep, Richard with the ping, and then Yadam's going to deploy Sabine, and we're going to see the same thing on the other side. Absolutely.
He might want to swing something into Sabine. That way next turn, if Richard attacks into, Richard can either attack into Yadam's leader, killing his own, or he swings at a base, then Yadam can just hit him on the crackbat. I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world, because there's nothing too crazy that Richard can do with 1.
There you go. So Yadam will use Sabine to go into Richard's Sabine. 1 damage onto Richard's base. And that is correct. This should be round 6. It should be round 6.
Now Richard make the same. No, Richard's just gone 3 base.
Yeah, Richard playing a little bit more aggressive. Energy Conversion Lab, epic action,
Ooh,
K2SO.
very
It's going
good.
to take out the
Very
Sabine.
good.
It's a great play.
Yeah, this is a very good play. And just with that one, I think that interaction right there, especially in this matchup, just showed you how good of a base ECL is. Because just one simple action just put Yadam in a very, very good position. And the medal ceremony coming down as well. That's disgusting. That is very, very good.
Medal ceremony, the cherry on top of a great turn for Yadam.
100%. Oh, and we see the Fleet Lieutenant in hand too. This has potential to get out of hand very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Could get ugly quick for Richard. We'll see how he responds. Richard does have the initiative. And he does have red 3 in space, but the problem is Yadam is just winning this race.
Gain value off it.
Yep,
Yeah,
there he goes. Steadfast Battalion will take out Sabine. 3 damage back onto the battalion.
And battalion is overwhelmed, I'm guessing.
He did. I think he did 1.
Yep.
I think there was 1 damage worth of overwhelm there.
Yeah. Let's play
because Sabine did have the
swing.
The extra HP with the experience token.
This is going to be the most back and forth game we see all day. This is going to be one of those games where the first person to make a mistake is going to be the person that loses it.
Oh, Zeb coming down for Yadam.
I'm glad someone's actually playing that. I feel like people have kind of strayed away from some of the Red Spectre cards, but I'm glad to see still being used.
It is a card. Zeb is something that you are not seeing as commonly in the Sabine lists.
Yeah.
So this is a very interesting include for Yadam, and it could really help him in this match.
And we did see he resourced a Fighters for Freedom, but he has an Echo-based Defender in hand, which I'm sure is going to do very well and be very helpful for him in this matchup.
It looks as though Richard only on 5 resources, so he is not going to 6. Yadam did go to 6 resources. Heroic sacrifice to start the turn. And he's going straight to the base.
Straight to base. Interesting.
7 to base with Steadfast Battalion. That's 19 damage on Yadam's base now.
I'm assuming
and the wing leader will boost Zeb up +2/+2. So Zeb's now a 7/7.
I'm assuming he has 4 calls I believe in hand. If he can get that red, have red 3 swing and then 4 calls I believe in.
Rebel Assault.
Interesting.
That's 4. So now he's just 2 away, right? He's 2 Sabine pings away.
Oh, he's 4. He wants Yadam to do it. Interesting.
Extra 5 damage from Kato. So there is 4 cause, and that will conclude game 1. Richard taking it down, finishing things off with 4 cause, but
him doing the heroic sacrifice was kind of telling that he had it. It was definitely he was balls to the wall, and he definitely needs to. If he did that without 4 calls, I believe in, man is insane. So it definitely was pretty good.
Yeah,
Now, if
absolutely.
you're
Great call
either of these
there.
Sabine players, what are you siding in to defeat yourself?
That's a great way of putting it. That game was exciting though because I mean it looked like Yadam was on the front foot there. It looked like
Yeah, for a
Yadam had
while,
a
I felt.
was in a good spot and Richard came storming back to take the first game. So Richard up 1-0. That is a good question though. What are we sideboarding in the Sabine mirror?
I don't know if what I'd put in, but if I'm Yadam, I might take out Zeb because I think that Zeb play, like him having to pay 5 resources there, I think that might have been like what shifted the momentum because
Right.
he didn't even really get to utilize it. Because he obviously his attack will only go off if he defeats another defending unit. But his opponent just swung with heroic sacrifice and killed itself anyway, so he just paid 5 resources for nothing, and it I think ultimately ended his resulted in him losing the match or the game.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. The Zeb is pretty slow, especially in this match. It is going to
Yeah,
be really slow, and
and that's
it
the
did
main thing
essentially
you need
take
is
that whole
speed.
turn away from him.
Yeah, yeah. That was nasty. That was a nasty turn though. He played it so well. Like it wasn't the most insane, like thought provoking play ever, but like having heroic sacrifice and for a cause I believe in the same hand was definitely nasty.
Right.
He didn't even need the red three
It's a
that was sitting at the end.
it's a great play. It really was. And
Yeah.
and great call on your part. You saw it, heroic sacrifice. He was like, well, he's got to have
Hmm.
for a cause.
Yeah,
It
he
was
has to. He has to.
great play. So I think the big story as of now is, you know, going into round 6, we've got that blue Palpatine
Oh yeah.
undefeated. We'll see if Nick can pull it off again, as
And
Nick
if he
was on the
does,
stream
he's
the
most
last
likely
couple
going to
rounds of
have
blue
to
Palp.
play another one of these Sabine players. And then
Yeah, that's
going
a good
into
point.
top cut, I guarantee he's going to have to run through him again.
And
Which
it
is
will
good
be
though, because
interesting,
it'll show that it's just not a fluke, that he's actually built to be like this.
right? Nick went against Sabine Yellow, or the blonde Sabine,
Mm-hmm.
last round. So it'll be
Yep.
interesting if we have to see him face off against Green Bean, right?
Yeah, very true, because that just adds even more aggression to him. I
Yep.
mean, because ECLO, I will say, from a Palpatine perspective, I think if I'm a Palpatine player, I'd be very okay with my opponent ambushing into my units instead of directly attacking my base. Because at that point, it almost feels like everything's Sentinel. And when you're the slowest deck in the format and you're playing against the fastest deck in the format, I think you would definitely value that. And I think that's why it was so close with Yellow Sabine. Was the Yellow Sabine kind of just went more to face, whereas Green Sabine has the option to be a little more controlly, and you don't really need or want to do that into Palpatine. So obviously, as a pilot, you can pivot away from that. Um, but I don't think ECL is as painful in Sabine against Palpatine as it is in other decks.
Right. Yeah, that
If that
makes
makes sense.
sense. No, absolutely, it does. So we are ready to go for game 2. Here in round 6, Richard versus Yadam.
I see a lot of
Sabine
Green Squadron
versus
already.
Sabine action. Yep. And great point in chat. Ice Chief did mention Zeb is great with Energy Conversion Lab. That is very true. It can
Very
be a
true. Very, very true.
very big momentum swinging play, being able to take out 2 units with one
Yep.
attack.
Yep, starting with the Green Squadron.
Yep, can't argue with Green Squadron down first for Yadam. Now, one thing is for sure, Sabine really has to find a turn 1 play. So we have to hope that Richard
Yeah.
has a turn 1 play. He does not. He does
Interesting. I
not have
think.
a turn 1 play. That's rough.
Oh, did he just claim initiative?
Yeah, he just claimed. Or no, he
Oh, so then did no one activate Sabine?
no. There was no No Sabine
Oh, you
actions
know what?
taken.
I don't know why he would have done that, but the only thing I can think of is Richard might have passed and Yadam. No, because I was. No, it looks like on the board Douglas claimed initiative. Yeah, that's interesting. No one decided to
And
use Sabine.
it was interesting because maybe I'm wrong here, but it looks as though Richard had
Oh,
a
that's why he did it.
Sabine
Okay.
in hand. Okay, so he wanted the.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I
Okay.
definitely got the vibe that he had um a turn one play. I'm very interested why he didn't.
Hmm.
Oh, you know what? He might. I guess
Like maybe he's just
because I
wanting to
mean the card
save
that
the
he
3
just
damage from
the
A-Wing.
Star Viper. Well, I think the Star Viper his plan all along was to Star Viper turn two, and I think he assumed if he claimed initiative, it turned Star Viper on, and then his opponent would have activated Sabine, dealing damage to his base, and he could have Star Viper to attack into his opponent's unit while at the same time healing. But his opponent didn't activate Sabine, so he couldn't heal. So he could still take out the Green Squadron, but now it just didn't gain the heal.
And here comes
We just
Bright
get Bright
Hope for
Hope come
Richard.
back.
Great point in chat there. ECL off the A-Wing before Yadam had a chance to potentially play Wing Leader on it. So that's
Yeah, very true.
that's
Very
definitely a
true.
good insight there because that would have been a problem. So now we do see the Sabine ping from Richard. Both bases take the first damage here in game 2.
Sabine coming out.
Yep. Both Sabines deployed now.
If I'm Yadam, though, I'm just swinging. Yeah, I'm not surprised Richard is, but if I'm Yadam, I think I'm definitely swinging face with Sabine. Interesting.
So Yadam just claims initiative, which is going to allow Richard to go in for 3 more damage with the Star Viper. So 7 damage quickly onto Yadam's base, just 1 damage on Richard's.
It's very interesting that Yadam, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're supposed to draw and resource before writing everything. I'm surprised. I wonder why he does it the opposite way.
Yeah, that's correct. You are supposed to draw first, then resource, and then ready everything, I believe, is the correct order. I think chat was mentioning that just a little while ago.
This is
So
definitely
Star
interesting,
Viper
though,
immediately trading with Bright Hope.
and you can tell they both put in Star Vipers for this match, and neither of them got value on them yet.
Right.
This has to be the least amount of damage I've ever seen the Sabine players do, and it's just pretty funny that they're doing it to each other. Oh no, sorry, I was looking. I forgot that they're using an app, not the counter, so that would have gained him or healed him too from base.
Richard going to play a Fleet Lieutenant, and that's going to be an extra 5 damage to the base. And there is that
exactly
play. There's the energy conversion lab into Zeb. And that is going to remove Richard's board. That is a big swing of momentum here in game 2.
That's a very good play. I'm a little surprised. Well, no, because I guess I was about to say I'm surprised he didn't attack or deal damage to the Star Viper, but obviously he's already showed his hand that he plays Bright Hopes, and you don't really want to allow Bright Hope to bounce back your Fleet Lieutenant because that's gonna be kind of a problem.
Right, absolutely. So you've got 13 damage on Yadam's base. It looks like just 5 on Richard's. But Yadam has a lot of attack, a lot of power coming through in the ground arena right now.
That Metal Ceremony is going to be nasty at the end of this turn.
Yadam with the initiative.
Good,
immediately the Bright Hope. That's a huge play.
That is a very good play.
As that is going to slow down the assault in space.
What are the chances he has a Spec Soldier? He does have the open fire in hand.
Spec Force Soldier would be a very big play here.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, Richard has 6 damage being locked down
Mm-hmm.
with that Bright Hope.
Okay, so I see Rebel Pathfinder, Open Fire, and then I missed that last card on your Dom's end.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I was actually paying attention to Richard's hand. I see it looks like General
Mm-hmm.
Dodonna,
I'm
a
surprised
red
to see that
3.
in here. I thought a lot of people cut Dodonna out of Sabine list.
Yeah,
I definitely
that's a
thought he
good
was more
point.
of like a
Haven't
Leia
seen
card.
a lot of
Yeah,
Dodonna in Sabine
that's a good
recently.
play.
There's red 3.
That is definitely the correct play. Because he'll have to trade. Oh, God, he's gonna have to trade both of his things to give it a Bright Hope. That's unfortunate. But I mean, if you have, I'm assuming he does not have Spec Soldier, because obviously you would have slammed that down the second
Oh,
Red 3
absolutely.
survived and then swung away with your guys.
Now, if he does still have it, it'd still be great because then you're able to swing in for an additional 2 that red 3 would give you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he does not have it. He just puts 3 damage on the Bright Hope. And there you go. Dodonna, the sideboard for the mirror. So that is an interesting call there. So now 17 points of damage on Richard's base. The ground assault is relentless right now on Yadam's side, and Richard in a tough spot. And now Yadam, big medal ceremony, buffing up Sabine, Zeb, and K2SO, and he puts down a Rebel Pathfinder. I'm not sure there is anything Richard can do here.
Go to game 3. That's what he can do.
Exactly. I think the scoop
Right.
might be the right play. I don't think there's any way back out of this, as Yadam has more than enough damage in the ground arena to send this to game 3.
Yep. Yep, and they're just packing that. That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. So Yadam coming back, making it another interesting match. We're going to game 3 once again.
And I know a lot of people are joking about how quick this game was going to go. We still have 32 minutes left in the round, and we're going into game 3. That is actually absurd. And I feel like for Sabine, like I'm sure it's a little bit different because it's the mirror, but for Sabine players, I feel like they're playing like relatively slower than normal, because you can tell that both of these players are thinking out all of the like best possible options and avenues that they can take, and they're still they still just did like 2 games in under 20 minutes, which is so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely one of those matches that is zooming right by as expected.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, chat. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. I wonder if they will. I'm assuming they're not going to side it anymore. I'm very interested to learn, because as I told you earlier, I've yet to play best of 3 games that actually either player utilized the sideboard, since I told you my locals is best of 1. I play on webcam where it's just a lot of casual play, so no one really does sideboard. So something that I learned from that is that in the mirror, players normally side in Dodonna, and I can definitely see you kind of just want to buff your guys up. I have to see it more in action, because obviously we just saw it in his hand. But I feel like you'd want Dodonna so that your guys can attack bigger and obviously chip away at your opponent's life faster. But I feel like playing Dodonna almost slows you down, and it's not kind of the way that Zeb would, where like it kind of takes up a full turn.
Right.
But hopefully we can see either of these players utilized on Donna, so that we can see why everyone uses them.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting that we talked about the Zeb in the first match, and your impression there at the end of that game was that turn just being used up to play Zeb probably kind of cost Yadam the game. But then we see in game 2 that huge play Zeb off of ECL very likely wins him the game. So Zeb has been on both sides of it here. potentially
100%.
losing the
He probably
game
heard
and
us,
winning
and
the
he was
game.
like, "This is why." He heard
Yeah,
us, and he was like, "This is why I play Zeb right here."
yeah,
And then
absolutely.
proceeded to win
Yep,
with it.
chat called it. Yadam followed
100%.
through. So here we
Okay, that's
go,
a being
game
put.
3
Interesting.
in round 6. Richard versus Yadam. Sabine versus Sabine. The Star Wars Unlimited 5K, Kissimmee, Florida. Biggest Star Wars Unlimited tournament to date in the United States.
Let's
So
go.
excited
Woo-hoo.
to see how the outcome looks as we are closing in towards the end of the Swiss rounds.
And of course, thank you everybody for tuning in and being a part of this with us. We appreciate you guys being in chat, just hanging out, having a good time, watching some good gameplay.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone joining us today and all the hard work put in by PPG and everyone involved for getting this event on the road. So Marine's going to come down first and then an A-Wing. So we've got some arena dodging going on here. We've got ground
that's the
versus
first
space.
time this match. We saw that. It's going to be very interesting.
And no Sabine ping here. Richard will claim the initiative.
I'm glad to see people using Medal Ceremony. For 0 cost, like it seems pretty good. But it definitely does seem like almost a card that you obviously want to get full value out of by waiting until you're a little more established. Having it in opening hand might not be the best thing in the world, but it's still obviously a good card. Like I said, 0 cost.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is a bit situational, but there are times where Medal Ceremony can absolutely swing the game.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
So there is the early epic action from ECL. Consortium Star Viper taking out the A-Wing.
Oh,
and Yadam just plays the Fleet Lieutenant. Oh, that's a rough start for Yadam here. Marine's going to go into base for 3. And we've got Sabine ping 4 damage on Yadam's base, 1 on Richard's.
It's very weird because this is turn 2. And if I'm Richard and I see that, I'm licking my lips because that took away 5 damage that he could have done, plus like actually another Fleet Lieutenant. So it feels really, really good. And I think Yadam's hand's kind of on the beefier side. It looks like he has a snow speeder and I believe battle. Oh my goodness, the 6-drop green guy over with ambush. Slipping my name, but you'll see it. You'll see it. It just seems like his hand's kind of a higher cost, which is very unfortunate because he also did mulligan. And you kind of hate to see it when games get like this.
So Yadam on the back foot early, forced to trade with the Battlefield Marine. Now, the one bright thing that Yadam has to think about here is he does still have ECL, whereas Richard has used his up.
Yep, very true.
Right, so that still could come into play here shortly.
And we already see that Yadam has the Zeb in hand, which means next turn Zeb can come down. Sadly, it'll most likely have to be into a K2SO, but still good. Still good.
So Sabine now deployed by Richard. We've got 11 damage onto Yadam's base, 5 for Richard. It's Sabine and K2SO versus Sabine and K2SO.
Double Echo Base Defender, nice. Wing leader better here. Yeah, there is the Zeb right into Sabine.
Yep.
Giving the
there is Zeb.
Yep.
Now Yadam does
take
I see 3 damage.
I see the vision now. Yeah, I see the vision now, but that feels great. I'll take 3 damage to clear 2 bodies. That is definitely a great card. I'm a believer. He has converted me.
Yeah, Zeb has been very good in the last couple games. And now, because of Zeb, once again, Yadam has complete control of the ground arena.
Yeah.
And I don't think that will change for the rest of this game.
Yeah. Oof.
So Bright Hope comes down, and now Richard is wide open.
If he's established in ground, he doesn't really care about space too much. And Bright Hope doesn't do the most damage in the world, so it's nothing crazy.
So
Chat,
17
yeah, we
damage
saw Zeb
on.
swing it back last game. It could very well have just swung it back this game, especially if Richard can't reestablish ground.
Will Richard have enough gas to cross the finish line here? He got off to a great start, but Yadam trying to stabilize and retake control of this final and deciding game 3 in round 6.
2 of a causively, and it's over. Also, a Fleet Lieutenant here would be kind of nice.
So Richard is showing 5 damage on the board, plus Sabine ping that's 6, so he's 2 shy of fatal.
And that's without using any resources at first.
Exactly, right. That's just what he has on the board. So immediately 3 damage to Richard's base with Sabine.
4 calls right here.
Oh, the Fleet Lieutenant.
I figured. Yeah.
So 4 to base with Bright Hope. That's 21, and that's enough, right? You've got 4 damage.
If Star Viper goes in check,
Viper and Sabine. So Yadam has to have some way to win on his next
heroic
action.
Sacrifice.
He does not. There's the sacrifice. How about that? Richard taking game 1. Yadam using Zeb to get back into it with game 2. And then Richard with game 3. Yadam and the awesome helmet. He's unable to get it done here in round 6.